Welcome to this Soulard Technology Vanderbilt SMS training session. Today we'll be looking at cardholder definitions. Cardholder definitions is where you will add users to the system, add their encoded ID, assign them access. The first time you open cardholder definitions, you will see this screen with just this top half shown. Once you have used the system, it'll open up to the last cardholder that you have edited, and we'll also show you the bottom half of the screen where you will see their encoded ID and area access. There are two ways to create a card holder. One, you could use the wizard by clicking the wand icon in the top, or you could enter the information manually and fill it in as needed. We're going to do that second option first, so we're going to add a test card holder. The first name and the last name are the two required fields in this top half that will illuminate the save disk for you to save it and then open up the options in the bottom half of the screen. The other options in the top, initial, any notes that you want to add, activation date by default is going to be the day that you create the card holder, and expiration date by default is 12/31/2199. That can be changed in system settings. Cardholder ID will change to whatever that cardholder number is in SMS once you hit the save icon. Access blocked will block the user, so you can block them, save, unblock them, and save. Any changes in this top half of the screen will have to be saved in order to take effect. Later on in the bottom half, you'll notice that any changes made, the save disk will not illuminate, and any changes in that bottom half will take effect as soon as you make those. Controlled anti-passback enabled, lockdown pass-through disabled by default is checked, meaning that controlled anti-passback is enabled, which would not allow a cardholder to hand their card back to somebody so they could also swipe into a reader in an in-out reader. And in the lockdown situation, when the reader goes into lockdown mode, their card would not work. If this was unchecked, it disables anti-passback and it enables lockdown pass-through, meaning that in a lockdown situation, they could still use their card to get access to doors that they have access to. Special access privileges will give that card holder, in most cases, depending on what template you use in System Manager for a reader, will give them an extra few seconds to get through a door. So you would use this in cases where somebody is elderly, handicapped, that needs a little more time to get from where the reader's at through the door. Once you have this set up how you would like, you can hit the save disk. You can see that cardholder ID changed to number 19 in the system. So this is the 19th cardholder that I have entered in. And it illuminates this bottom half of the screen where you can add your online credential, offline credential if you use those, see the cardholder's retired credentials, and then area access, offline lock access, categories, and email addresses. To start, we are going to add a credential, online credential. So we hit this add credential button. I'm going to add 11002 into the system. I have been in the system before, so it automatically chose proximity as the credential technology. If it's the first time using your system, it's going to say none selected, and you can choose the correct one, and it will remember that going forward. You don't have to worry about, in this instance, issue code, stamped ID, keypad ID you can enter if you do use keypads, and badge technology, or badge layout. Badge layout, if you expand that, if you have a badge layout created, you can select that. Otherwise, you can leave it as click to expand. If you don't know what the encoded ID is going to be when you're creating that card holder, you can check this box and it will add the card, it'll create the badge layout, and then allow you to print that badge, but then you can go back in and add that card ID once you know what that is. After it's printed, you see what card it actually printed the badge layout on. We're going to hit save and close, and that will add this credential to this user. If you're using offline credentials, you would do that here. Retired credentials, from your online credentials, if they lose, misplace, their card gets stolen, destroyed, anything like that, you can highlight this credential hit retire credential, select a reason. We'll say it was destroyed, and then you can retire the credential. If this credential return to stock checkbox is checked, that will allow you to assign that credential to a new employee. You would use this if somebody left or was terminated, they handed back their card, you didn't have any badge layout printed on it, and you were going to assign that to somebody else. That way, any changes, any swipes in the system from before that employee was terminated would show up under employee A, and anything after that point when it was reassigned would show up under employee B. In this case, we're just going to say destroyed, not return to stock, and retire that credential. It's going to remove it from your online credential list and move it to this retired credential. If it was retired by mistake, or that employee left and came back, you still had their card or they still had their card, you could highlight this, reactivate credential, hit yes, and it's going to move that credential back to the online credential section. Adding area access, there's a couple different ways to do it. Within area access tab, you can hit the add area access. The first screen that you come up to will be areas that have been selected, and you can add areas to their access. We're going to add one area here. We'll do the east entrance. And I just double clicked on that. You can also, if you're adding multiple, you can search, or if you hit the find now, it'll show all of their areas in here. You can also click and hold control to select individual doors, multiple at a time, or you can select, hold shift, and select several in a row. We're just going to keep it with that east entrance and hit next. If you have area sets set up, you can add area sets, which would assign several areas to that card holder at once, and anything that you add to that area set would automatically be added to this card holder. I don't have anything set up. By default, there is an all areas area set that automatically gets every new door added to your system. We're going to cancel out of this and hit next. And now it's going to bring you to the section where you would assign a time zone for that area. Again, it's going to remember what you've used before. So right now it's always. If you click the three dots to expand, you can choose a different time zone. I'm going to choose cardholder access 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And this was set up in System Manager, which we will go over in another video. By default, when you're adding area access, the online activation is going to be 24 hours prior to what time you're actually adding it. This is a system default to accommodate any changes in time zones that may happen within your organization. And again, the expiration date by default is 12/31/2199, and that can be changed as well in system settings. In most cases, you don't have to worry about the offline credential function, especially for online credentials, and you can block or unblock access to specific areas that a user is assigned as well. When you're all set, you can hit finish, and that will add this area to this card holder. You can see here that it says access type is cardholder to area. If you were giving them access to an area set, it would list all the areas within that set, and it would say area by area set or access by area set. So you can do this individually, one area at a time through the area set. Another way to assign access is through categories. Categories are set up through Access Manager, which will be demonstrated in another video. From this tab, you can go to Add to Category. I have several categories already set up. So you can select one of these. We'll say regular staff access, no IT room, or finance office. Within Access Manager, when you're setting up the time zone, you're going to add the areas to that time or to that category, and you'll select the time zone. So you don't have to select anything here. You just add them to this category. And then if we go back to area access, you will see that they have additional area access granted, and access type is category 2 area. You can see east entrance is duplicated because they have it from cardholder 2 area and category 2 area. If you want to remove that cardholder 2 area, you could simply highlight that, hit delete access, and delete that one area. So now all they get their access through is categories. With categories, you typically want to set everything up the same for every cardholder. You do not want to adjust these per cardholder. You want to keep the group consistent. If you do change something within this group, so say on the east entrance, we double click this and we change this area, there's time zone access to always. It's going to give you this message. If you tweak the attributes of this area access record, it will no longer match those of its owning link record, which is the category. You can continue, hit finish, and now they have always access for that door. It will give you this message here that this area access record has been tweaked and does not match the owning group of the category. If you want to reset that, you can double click on that, hit reset to owning links attributes, or you can select the time zone and set it there. If we choose that, it's going to automatically select the owning links attribute and hit finish, and now it's matching again and the tweak is no longer there. If there is an employee that needed to stay late and you didn't want to adjust their access time zone and have to remember to go back the next day to change it, you can highlight that area access and hit there's an icon in the top left, top of this bottom half of the screen called extend the access to the selected area. And you can extend that until a specific time. So this time zone ends at 5 p.m. You can extend it until midnight that night, or you can choose a different time, or you can just extend it for a set period of time, say 3 hours, hit OK. And it's going to, instead of tweaking that area access within the category, it's going to generate a new area link, which is going to be cardholder 2 area for always access, and it's going to go until tonight, which happens to be February 21st at 8 p.m. instead of the 5 p.m. That's going to expire at 8 p.m. and this record will be removed after that, so you don't have to worry about going in the next day to remove this area access going forward. They will continue after today to only be allowed to get access until 5 p.m. Again, as you may have noticed, every change I've made down here, it has not prompted me to save. The disk icon is not illuminated. So any change in this bottom half of the screen takes place immediately. Any change in this top half, say I decide to block this person, you'll see this access blocked illuminated. It does illuminate the save disk icon as well. If I tried to exit out of here, it would say, do you want to save the changes to this card holder? So you'd hit yes to exit out, no to revert back, or cancel just to go back to this screen. If I hit save, this person is now blocked. This takes place immediately after I hit that save icon. To unblock, uncheck that box and hit save again. To create a new card holder, if you have a new if you've already created a card holder and you're on their page, you would hit new card holder. If you're on this person and you want to delete them, you can hit delete card holder. To search your card holders, you can hit the binoculars icon. If you hit find now, it'll show everybody in your system, or you can search by last name, and you don't have to type in the full last name. You can just hit the first couple letters and it will show you everybody whose last name starts with M. If somebody loses their credential, you find it. There's no identifying features on that credential. All you have is the encoded ID. You can type in the encoded ID, hit find now, and it will bring up who it is so that you can return that credential to them. Within this, you can hit a couple other icons up at the top. This door with a red question mark will show you the access attempts made by this person. This hasn't been swiped to any reader, so you won't see it. You can change that number of transactions that you see and then hit refresh if you want to see the last 100, 200 transactions for that person. The green door will just show you the last valid transaction that person has made. And then there are a couple other icons up here that you can use. You can export the cardholder portrait, launch a portrait export report, mass modify all the cardholders in your system or a group of cardholders within your system. That's good if you need to block a lot of people at once, but it can be tricky to use and you could make changes to a lot of other people if you aren't careful with that. To add portraits or signatures, you can double click on these boxes over here on the right and it will bring this up. You can import from a file or you can capture with a Twain device if you have a camera that's in your office for enrolling cardholders, portraits, and printing badges. And that concludes Cardholder Definitions. Please join us for our next training session.